The Life of Victoria, Princess Royal. Victoria, Princess Royal, was born on November 21st, 1840, at Buckingham Palace. She was the eldest child of Queen Victoria of the United Kingdom and Prince Albert of Saxe-Coburg-Gotha. After giving birth, Queen Victoria was quoted saying, "Never mind, the next one will be a prince." She went by the name Vicky throughout her life. Vicky had 8 younger siblings. Albert, nicknamed Bertie, who later became Edward VII, Alice, Alfred, nicknamed Affie, Helena, Louise, Arthur, and Leopold and Beatrice. Queen Victoria had a difficult relationship with motherhood. She loved her children, but was distant with them. She had admitted later in life that she would check in on them directly once every 3 months. It seems that she had a closer relationship with Vicky than with her other children. When Vicky left for Germany, letters were sent sometimes daily between the two of them. It was her father, Albert, who was a more involved parent. He oversaw all the children's education and care. He even personally taught Vicky philosophy and politics. Vicky was noted for her intelligence at an early age. She learned French at 18 months and started learning German at age 4. She also studied arithmetic, geography, history, science, and literature. Unlike her older brother, the Prince of Wales, Vicky enjoyed academics. Vicky idolized her father and shared his same liberal views. The royal couple liked to keep their children away from court life. Her father built a Swiss-inspired cottage near Osborne House on the Isle of Wight. The cottage had a small kitchen and a carpentry workshop. There, Vicky and her siblings learned manual and practical life skills. In 1851, Prince Wilhelm of Prussia and his wife Princess Augusta and their 2 children, Frederick, who went by Fritz, and Louise, visited the Great Expedition in London. 10-year-old Vicky accompanied the 14-year-old Frederick through the expedition. Frederick was impressed with Vicky's ability to converse in German when he could only speak a little English, and her intelligence. He also liked the more close-knit and less formal family life of the British royal family compared to his formal and rigid upbringing. After Frederick returned to Berlin, he and Vicky continued correspondence through letters. In 1855, Fritz came back to visit the British royal family at the Scottish home at Balmoral Castle. Vicky and Fritz became engaged at the age of 15 and 20. Because of Vicky's young age, her parents approved only on the condition that they waited until her 17th birthday to be married. Although it was a love match, both royal families were instrumental in creating the match. For Prussia, the marriage was meant to be an alliance between the 2 countries. Vicky's parents were both from German royal houses, with her mother being from the House of Hanover and her father from the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha. The Queen and Prince Albert had hoped that Vicky's marriage to the future King of Prussia would cement close ties between England and Prussia and could lead to the emergence of a unified and liberal Germany. In preparation for the union, Prince Albert personally taught Vicky politics and modern European history and had her write essays about events in Prussia. The wedding took place on January 25, 1858, at the Chapel Royal St. James Palace. The location of the ceremony caused controversy among Prussians. Traditionally, it was customary for brides of future monarchs to have their wedding in a new country, but Queen Victoria insisted that the wedding took place in England. Victoria said the obsession that of it being too much for a Prince Royal of Prussia to come over and marry the Princess Royal of Great Britain in England is too absurd, to say the least. Wherever may be the usual practice of Prussian princes, it is not every day that one marries the eldest daughter of the Queen of England. After a brief honeymoon at Windsor Castle, the couple said their goodbyes. The night before her departure, Vicky confided to her mother that she thinks, quote, "It will kill me to take leave of dear Papa." Queen Victoria described the day of Vicky's departure in her diary, writing, "We went into the audience room where Mama and all the children were assembled, and here poor Vicky and Alice, as well as the others, began to flow fast. The hall was filled with our people and theirs, the Prussians, amongst the many servants there. Poor dear child! I clasped her in my arms, kissed good Fritz against the door of the carriage. I embraced them both with a dreadful moment. What a real heartache to think of our dearest child being gone, and not knowing how long it may be before we see her again." Vicky's eldest brothers, Bertie and Alfie, along with her father and mother's uncle, the Duke of Cambridge, escorted the royal couple to Gravesend. The siblings cried together as Vicky said goodbye to her father. Vicky and Fritz departed on a royal yacht to the continent. The next day, Prince Albert wrote to his daughter, stating, "My heart was really full when yesterday you leaned your forehead on my breast to give free vent to your tears. I am not of a devastated nature, and therefore you can hardly know how dear you have always been to me, and what a great void you have left behind in my heart." Upon her arrival in Berlin, Vicky was in a difficult situation of being the connection between Britain and Germany. The couple's first residence was an old wing of the Berlin Royal Palace. The building was not in great condition, with it not even containing a bathtub. Because of this, they moved to the Kronprinz Palace. An example of Anglophobia at the Prussian court is the so-called Anglo-Prussian Garden War. In 1858, Vicky attempted to have an English-style garden imported to Prussia. The English style was out of fashion, with the Italianate style being popular in Prussia. Vicky was prevented from having an English-style garden. Vicky was given the responsibilities of tedious official duties in Berlin. These duties included attending theatrical performances and formal dinners. The royal couple were not given importance in the royal palace. The couple's first son, named Friedrich Wilhelm Victor Albert, the future Kaiser Wilhelm II, was born on the 27th of January, 1859. The delivery was a difficult one, resulting in Wilhelm having a wizard arm. The wizard arm was due to Erb's palsy, a now rare form of nerve damage which paralyzed his arm and stunted its growth. This was especially troubling for Vicky, who blamed herself for the disability. At the same time, she thought it was unacceptable for the future emperor to not be able to ride horses. Vicky had Wilhelm begin riding lessons at age 8. These lessons proved to be traumatic for the young boy, who fell multiple times and was forced back on a horse again. This would begin the icy relationship between Wilhelm and his parents. Vicky went on to have 7 more children: Charlotte, Henry, Sigismund, Victoria, Waldemar, Sophia, and Margaret. Prince Albert died unexpectedly of typhoid fever on December 14, 1861. Vicky, who was very close to her father, was devastated by the news. On the death of King Friedrich Wilhelm IV of Prussia in January 1861, Fritz's father ascended the throne as Wilhelm I of Prussia. Thus, Fritz and Vicky became Crown Prince and Princess of Prussia. During this time, tragedy hit the royal couple. Their youngest son at the time, Sigismund, died of meningitis at 21 months on June 18, 1866. While the older children were left in the care of governesses, the younger children were raised by Victoria herself. After the tragic death, Vicky was much more involved in her children's life. Even with Vicky and Fritz being the crown prince and princess, the couple were more politically isolated than ever at the conservative Prussian court, whose views conflicted with Prussian Minister-President Otto von Bismarck. Even with their best efforts of educating Wilhelm with British attitudes of democracy, he preferred his German tutors and the views of autocratic rule. On January 18, 1871, the princes of the North German Confederation and South Germany proclaimed Wilhelm I as German Emperor, thus creating a new German Empire. Frederick and Vicky became Crown Prince and Princess of Germany. Vicky and Fritz rejected anti-Semitism. In a letter to Queen Victoria, Vicky criticized the essay Judaism and Music by Richard Wagner, whom she considered ridiculous and unfair. In 1880, Vicky and Fritz attended a synagogue service in Berlin to show support for the German Jews who were threatened by Heinrich von Treitschke, who led the Volkisch movement. Fritz was diagnosed with cancer. He went on to have a tracheostomy. Despite the operation, Fritz's condition only got worse with him having to have a cannula fitted for him to breathe. For the rest of his life, he was unable to speak and communicated through writing. King Wilhelm I died on March 9, 1888. Fritz ascended the throne as Emperor Frederick III. After the announcement of his accession, he took the ribbon and star of his Order of the Black Eagle from his jacket and pinned it on the dress of Vicky. He wanted to honor her position as Empress. Fritz died at the age of 42 after only 99 days on the throne. With her son Wilhelm on the throne, Vicky retired to Friedrichshof, which she built in the memory of her husband. Wilhelm, always suspicious of his mother's liberal views, sent troops to seal up the palace and to confiscate papers. Despite this, Vicky remained in Germany and surrounded herself in liberal circles. Vicky returned to the United Kingdom to visit her mother at Balmoral Castle in 1899. There, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. When Queen Victoria died on January 22, 1901, she was too ill to attend the funeral. Vicky died at the age of 60 at Friedrichshof, less than 7 months after her mother. She was buried in the Royal Mausoleum on the 13th of August, 1901, next to her husband, along with 2 of her children, Sigismund and Waldemar. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and like for more videos.